There's a strange moment that happens quietly. After you master something, you look around and realize you're not done. You've only unlocked more doors, more complexity, more awareness, more potential. It doesn't end, it expands. You become stronger, and suddenly, life asks more of you. You gain clarity, and now you see how little you understood. You level up, and a whole new game reveals itself. This is not a bug in the system. It's the nature of growth itself. The more capable you become, the more you become capable of. It's a paradox, one that philosophers, mystics, and visionaries have hinted at for centuries. Robert Anton Wilson called it reality tuning, the idea that expanding your mind doesn't just give you new answers, it gives you entirely new questions. Maslow described it as self-actualization turning into self-transcendence, and Taoist masters described it as Wu Wei, flow that never ends and never begins. This video isn't just about potential, it's about the infinite unfolding of it, the beautiful trap of awakening, because once you start becoming more, you never stop. Chapter 1. What is infinite potential? Infinite potential doesn't mean doing everything. It means realizing that every step you take opens 10 more possible steps. It means that capacity is not static, it's generative. When you grow in any direction, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, you grow your ability to grow. A capable mind isn't just smarter, it's more aware of where it lacks. A trained athlete doesn't hit a ceiling. They discover subtler forms of movement, breath, performance. Potential is not a thing you have, it's a relationship you enter. With yourself, with your future, with the unknown. Alan Watts once said, "You are an aperture through which the universe is looking at and exploring itself." Infinite potential means you are not a container. You are an interface. The more complex you become, the more complex reality becomes in return. And that's the paradox. Growth doesn't close loops, it opens new ones. And your limits? They shift with every breakthrough. When people say, "I've reached my potential," what they really mean is, "I've reached my comfort zone." But growth doesn't care about your comfort, it cares about your evolution. Chapter 2. The Loop of Capability. Skill expands. Skill. Think of the first time you learned something truly difficult. Maybe it was playing an instrument, or solving a complex equation, or finally understanding a painful emotion in therapy. What happened afterward? You didn't just know more. You became more, and then, suddenly, you could learn the next thing faster. You could see through complexity quicker. You began to stack skills, not just acquire them. This is the loop of capability. Every new strength doesn't just add to you, it multiplies you. You learn how to learn. You build endurance to face chaos. You start seeing patterns others miss. You become adaptive. Robert Greene in Mastery points out that the highest form of skill isn't knowledge, it's intuition. And intuition is built on thousands of microscopic capabilities working together in silence. This is the exponential nature of growth. Skill makes more skill possible. Clarity makes deeper clarity possible. Creativity, once practiced, opens new levels of imagination. The great trap is thinking you ever arrive. But what if there is no arrival? What if the point was always to grow into more growth? This is the paradox. The stronger you become, the deeper your responsibility to keep evolving. The wiser you become, the more humble you get about how little you know. And as your potential expands, so does your sense of duty to realize it. You're not just growing for you. You're growing for what you'll touch, for what you'll shape, for what you'll awaken in others. Chapter 3. The Reality Tunnels of Growth. Robert Anton Wilson had a radical idea. We live in reality tunnels. That is, our thoughts, language, upbringing, and beliefs create a kind of invisible hallway through which we perceive life. Most people never leave theirs, but once you grow, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, you start to see the tunnel for what it is, a construct, a filter, a limitation, and the more capable you become, the more you're able to step out of it. Wilson described personal evolution as expanding the scope of what you can perceive, seeing more of reality, more nuance, more contradiction. And instead of collapsing from complexity, you rise to meet it. He wrote, "You should view the world as a conspiracy run by a very closely knit group of nearly omnipotent people. And you should also believe that group is you. It's ironic, humorous, paradoxical, but also profound. As your capacity expands, so does your awareness that you've been shaping reality all along. You weren't just moving through a tunnel, you were designing it, reinforcing it, living inside your own projection. But here's the twist. The moment you see the tunnel, you gain the power to change it, to break the walls, to rewrite the script, to play with reality. And what happens then? You don't just become smarter, you become freer. This is where growth becomes spiritual. Not just more productivity, but more presence. Not just better results, but better vision. Because the more capable you become, the more you become capable of reimagining what's possible. And that's where real power begins. Chapter 4. Maslow's Higher Needs and the Expanding Self. Abraham Maslow is best known for his hierarchy of needs. A pyramid of human motivation, starting with food and safety, and rising to self-actualization. But few talk about what Maslow wrote after the pyramid. He realized something strange. Self-actualization, becoming your best self, wasn't the top. There was something beyond it. He called it self-transcendence. A state where you don't just evolve for yourself, you evolve through yourself. You become a vessel, a bridge between potential and reality, an agent of the universe expanding itself. Maslow observed that the more people fulfilled their inner potential, the more they wanted to give, to create, to serve something greater than the ego. And this is the paradox again. The more you become, the more you feel called to become even more, not for validation, but because your soul demands it. Maslow wrote, "What one can be, one must be." This is the force of becoming, not imposed by society, but drawn out from within. It's not ambition, it's emergence. And once you tap into it, it doesn't let you go, because the more you realize your potential, the more aware you become of how much remains unrealized. The top of the mountain is just the floor of the sky, and as you rise, so does your view, so does your reach. This is not linear growth, it's vertical transcendence, and the climb never ends. Chapter 5. The Taoist Twist. You can never be finished. The ancient Taoists had no interest in perfection. To them, life was not a project to complete. It was a dance, a flow, a becoming. They called it Tao, the way. Not a destination, but a dynamic movement, always unfolding, always transforming. And here's the twist. The more in tune you become with life's rhythm, the more you realize you will never arrive. The more you align with the Tao, the less you try to control. Because mastery isn't about dominance, it's about deep alignment with mystery. Lao Tzu wrote, "The wise man is one who knows what he does not know." And that wisdom grows every time your capability expands. Each new layer of skill or insight doesn't give you finality. It gives you new subtleties to navigate, new paradoxes to explore, new limitations to dissolve. You start to see how little you've actually seen. And in that humility, something beautiful happens. You stop trying to win at life, and you start flowing with it. You no longer grow to escape weakness, you grow to stay in motion, to be part of the unfolding mystery, not separate from it. This is what Taoism offers us, a way of living where your growth isn't a task, it's a tune, a frequency, and the more you can hear it, the more you become capable of moving with it. That's why you'll never be finished. Because life isn't a puzzle to solve, it's a song to play, and the more you learn the instrument, the more melodies become possible. Chapter 6. Danger and Power, Why This Paradox Can Be Terrifying. There's a shadow to all this talk of infinite potential, because the more capable you become, the more power you hold, and the more power you hold, the more responsibility you carry. This isn't always a euphoric realization. Sometimes it's paralyzing. You see, when you were less aware, you could hide behind excuses. You could say, "I didn't know." You could blame your past, blame your upbringing, blame the world. But once you grow, once you see clearly, those shields vanish. You become aware of your own ability to shape reality, and that truth is as heavy as it is liberating. Robert Anton Wilson wrote, "Every perception is a gamble." And the more conscious you are, the more you realize your every word, every thought, every action ripples outward. Suddenly, mediocrity is no longer an option, because you've tasted what it means to live with depth, to create with clarity, to act with alignment. And now, the idea of going back, of living small, of pretending not to know, feels like spiritual death. This is why so many people sabotage their growth, not because they fear failure, but because they fear what success will demand of them. To be powerful is to be visible. To be visible is to be vulnerable. And to be vulnerable is to walk a path without hiding places. Infinite potential isn't light and fluffy. It's fire. It will burn through your illusions, and it will demand that you rise with it or be consumed by the gap between who you are and who you could become. But if you accept that, if you welcome the weight, then your life becomes something sacred, not easy, but aligned. Because now you're not growing out of fear, you're growing out of truth. Chapter 7. Living the Paradox, Awakening into Ever-Unfolding Potential. So, how do you live this paradox? You stop chasing the end. You stop asking, when will I finally arrive? And instead, you turn your life into a process, a spiral, a dance with depth itself. You wake up every day not to complete yourself, but to continue unfolding, to see what you're capable of today, knowing that whatever you discover will only expand what's possible tomorrow. This is the infinite engine within you. Once it's awakened, it doesn't want rest. It wants realization, not perfection, but presence. Robert Anton Wilson spoke about reality being edited in real time. You are that editor, and every time you grow, you gain new tools, new perspectives, new layers of meaning. Your potential is not a mountain you conquer. It's a universe that opens each time you take a step, and the more conscious you become of your power, the more humble you become about its source. You realize you are not just in the story, you are writing it, not with force, but with frequency, not with fear, but with clarity. You are a gate opening into more gates. You were never meant to stay the same. That's why it hurts to shrink, why you feel restless when you ignore your calling, why you suffer when you play small. Because deep down, you know, you are not a container. You are a conduit, a gate opening into more gates, a soul awakening into more soul. And every time you grow, you expand the world itself. So don't fear your own evolution. Don't fear your infinite nature. Don't ask if you're good enough to chase it. You are it. Because the more capable you become, the more you become capable of. And that cycle, it never ends. It just deepens. It just sharpens. It just becomes more you. So keep going. The spiral is calling, and your potential is still becoming.